now available for pre-order on Kindle. Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Pre-order your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace on Kindle today. A 36-year-old Tokyo man was arrested for participating in a slashing and stabbing spree that allegedly led to the injuries of 10 people on a Tokyo train. Now, this incident is being seen by the Tokyo police as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of this mass stabbing and slashing spree, it fits the pattern and profile I talk about regarding beta males in my book, The Man Crisis. And when I take that further critical analysis of this 36-year-old man who is alleged to have participated in this mass stabbing and slashing spree, he fits the pattern and profile I talk about regarding beta males who are called incels in my chapter, Incels and the Man Crisis. Now, your incels are individuals who believe that they are involuntarily celibate, and these individuals believe that they cannot get any attention from women. And they believe that women are intentionally denying them the ability to have relationships with them, and they believe that in some cases that because these women are denying them the ability to have a relationship with them, they are being denied an opportunity to graduate into manhood by having a sexual relationship with them. Now, this whole belief that the incel has comes from a dysfunctional frame of thinking that they grow up with because they get most of their models and ideas for manhood from media such as the movies, such as television, such as advertising, and such as pornographic movies. So because these men get their ideas about manhood from Madison Avenue advertisers and Hollywood movie studios and the porn industry, they believe that being a man is related to a sexual relationship with a woman. Unfortunately, because there are no men in the community to model an actual picture of manhood for these young men, they grow up with this extremely dysfunctional idea about manhood given to them by media. And because they grow up with this extremely dysfunctional idea about manhood from media, this is one of the reasons why many of these men are extremely frustrated and extremely angry. And because these men have deep frustrations about their inability to gain opportunities at sexual relationships with women, they simmer and boil in anger for years before eventually winding up exploding in a rage where they wind up participating in a spectrum of violent behaviors. Now, in this case, this beta male had probably been simmering for an extremely long time, and he was starting to participate in behaviors that were antisocial, because before this incident, it is alleged that he wound up participating in some shoplifting, and when he was caught by a female in the store, this is one of the things that possibly was triggering his anger and was making him think about participating in more violence. Now, the core foundation of his violence was his frustrations about women, and because he could not go out here and get relationships to work with women. Now, the main reason, again, why this man could not get anything to work with women is because he was never taught male life skills and he was never taught male social skills. Now, in Japan, there is a big problem with men having a hard time navigating the world due to the baby boomer generation of men winding up creating an emasculated model of manhood for the other two generations of men to follow. Now, the baby boomer generation of men in Japan, these men gave their power to their wives. They would go out here and work and then give their money to their wife. Then the wife would give them an allowance, and these salary men, as they were called, were practically emasculated by their wives in their homes and made all of the decisions in the home and controlled the home environment. Meanwhile, the male wound up practically abdicating his ability to be in charge of his home and be a head of household, and this man wound up sitting in the background passively while the female practically controlled all of the aspects of life. And the sons, seeing the father being emasculated by his mother and the man being degraded, this traumatized an entire 2 to 3 generations of young Japanese boys and led to many of these males winding up becoming what they call the herbivore man. Now, this herbivore man withdraws from society because he sees that the woman has all of the power, and he realizes that there is no place for him in the society except being this salary man who is practically works to be abused. And instead of him going to work and build something of his own, he practically winds up giving up and going into the background and the shadows. Now, in this case, it's looking like one of these herbivore male incels wound up simmering and boiling in anger because he actually probably wanted a relationship with a woman, and because he saw this woman happy, this is what wound up triggering him, because he said his motive for doing harm to these women was because he saw women happy and he wanted those women to wind up get hurting as much as he was, because I believe this man had deep emotional hurt as related to whatever trauma he was dealing with, and this was the thing that led to him simmering and boiling in anger and then winding up exploding in a rage because he wanted the happiness of a relationship with a woman, and he was angry because this woman had the audacity to be happy in front of him and not happy with him, and this is the thing that led to him exploding in that rage and then participating in this extreme act of violence where he was going to go out here and, in his rose-colored mind, go out here and murder people. Unfortunately, thank God, he only wound up slashing and stabbing 10 people before winding up running off the train. Now, this man, again, like most beta males, had a major imagined idea that he was going to go on a killing spree with this knife, and that's the way many beta males' minds are, because they don't live in reality. They live in a rose-colored world, and because these guys live in a rose-colored world that looks like our world, but everything is distorted, they come up with these delusional ideas that they can go out here and participate in things like murder sprees and believe that they are justified in doing so, because that was one of the things that possibly motivated this man to go out here on that stabbing spree. Is he believed that because this woman was happy in front of him, that he was justified in making her as miserable as he was, because he was being denied an opportunity to have a relationship with her and other women, because she was only giving herself to what they call alphas like Chad and Tyrone, and she was denying him an opportunity to go out here and show her what kind of man he was sexually in the bedroom. Now, the great irony of this situation is, in his efforts to go out here and make this woman miserable for denying him an opportunity to become a man, he shows us how much of a man in crisis he truly is. And what's really troubling here about this whole situation with this beta male is that he wound up doing this all because he just did not know how to make the world function like a man. Because there were no men there to model manhood for him, teach him male life skills, or teach him male survival and male social skills. This man wound up going out here becoming frustrated about his inability to gain sexual access to women, and that motivated him to explode in this rage and participate in this extreme act of violence. Now, the big problem with many of these kind of males like this has to do with the dysfunctional way they have been raised, because the reason why they are acting and motivated to act like this is because they were never again taught those male life skills and male survival skills and male social skills. And these skills are essential for a man's survival. And if a boy does not get them at an early age, he will not be able to navigate the world the way a man is supposed to do. Now, due to the dysfunctional way we've had boys raised all over this world, we're starting to see that many males do not know how to go out here and do things that their fathers and grandfathers knew how to do, such as socialize with women. And in this case, that's the real core foundation of what happened here. This young man, this 36-year-old man, never was really taught that in the whole world of dating and relationships, you're going to have to go out here and, one, approach women, and two, you're going to have to go out here and develop a thick skin. And because he was not taught these social skills, he wound up becoming frustrated and angry because the girls he possibly liked were out here with who he called Chads and Tyrones and having sexual relationships with them and winding up happy. And he wanted that happiness for himself. And because he wanted that happiness for himself and he couldn't get it, this is why he wanted to do harm to others. But we need to understand that in the case of a lot of these beta males, what is again driving this violence is a clear pattern as related to the dysfunctional way we have been raising boys for the last 50 years, not only in the United States and the West, but also in countries like Japan, where we're starting to see more and more men having real problems due to the dysfunctional, gynocentric way these males have been raised. And because these boys never learned manhood from men, they are having struggles and difficulties with dealing with a world where they feel like they have no place, they have no purpose, and because these men feel like they have no place and no purpose, they are going out here and believing that they are justified in destroying the world around them and destroying the world and the lives of others. And this man crisis is something many governments won't acknowledge, but they need to start acknowledging it because these incidents are becoming less and less isolated incidents, and they are becoming a clear and present pattern that shows us that we are in clear and present danger, because if we don't do something about this man crisis, we are not going to be able to have a civilization. Because when you have men who do not know how to go out here and navigate the world, then you don't have men who know how to build anything. And if you don't have men who have any sort of life skills or survival skills to build anything, then your civilization is destined to collapse. And this is something that is globally seeming like it's going on, because we're seeing more and more of these incidents. And if we don't get our men right by investing in them and teaching them what they need to know how to navigate the world, we may have a global man crisis that may lead to the end of the world. Now, if you want to learn more about what makes and motivates beta males to participate in their violent behaviors, you can pick up The Man Crisis on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis in Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more men's issues videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.